This woman is completely unhinged, and I can't lie, I love it. I'm not even joking when I say she might be the most violent, bloodthirsty, god-blessed menace in all of fantasy manga right now. And her name is Scarlett El Vandimon. And in just 15 chapters, she's punched a prince, wiped out an entire noble banquet, tamed a dragon, and turned God's blessing into a literal weapon of mass destruction. And the best part? She doesn't do it for revenge or justice or some other tragic reason. She just does it because it's fun. So let's talk about the Bloodstained Princess, the woman who made the word villainess sound like an understatement. So Scarlett isn't your typical noble girl. Sure, she's elegant, classy, looks like she just walked out of a royal portrait, but for some reason this girl has always just loved fighting even when she was a child. And I'm not talking in the refined fencing way we see all the time in anime. No, she genuinely enjoys beating the crap out of people with her fists. To be fair, she does only beat up bad people, but she gets way too much joy out of it. But everything goes downhill for her when she meets this absolute clown of a guy called Scarlet Past. At first, seems like just another punk, but turns out he's a super high-ranking noble, and worse, he's now her fiancé. Against her will. And because of that, Scarlett's life becomes a living hell. Dude mistreats her constantly, and she's forced to hold back her rage every single day of her life for her family's sake. And she had to do this for years. So, over time, people started calling her the Ice Rose, because of how cold and composed she acted, almost seeming like she had zero emotions. But despite everything, Scarlett never let this bother her. She never really cared what people thought of her. Even when this handsome prince, Julius, starts showing interest in her, and he's Kyle's brother by the way, and he was acting like some knight in shining armor, she treats him like everyone else. Absolutely zero special treatment. At 17 though, things finally take a turn. Kyle suddenly decides he wants to marry someone else, saying that Scarlett isn't good enough for him, and I don't mean to be rude, but is this guy blind?
The leg's wide open, bro.
But he uses that and some other excuses to break off the engagement, and he and his new girl, Terenetza, who by the way has nothing on Scarlett, I mean, come on, they both start spreading all kinds of fake rumors, saying Scarlett bullied her, played the villainess, all of it. And Scarlett, she doesn't really care. She's happy to be out of the engagement, but when everyone else starts thinking she's a villainess, she uses this to her advantage. And she thinks, alright, if everyone's gonna call me the villain, I might as well act like one. So, after years of built-up rage, she finally stops holding back. She punches Terenetza square in the face and sends her flying across the room. Yeah, you wouldn't think she'd just punch a girl this fast, but yeah, she doesn't even care. Then she absolutely annihilates every single noble in that hall, knocking people unconscious left and right with her magic power. Yeah, she also has busted magical abilities because, of course she does, why wouldn't she? This girl is out here with Conqueror's Haki. But some of the nobles are still conscious, so what does she do? She beats the hell out of them with her bare hands, sending blood flying everywhere, and honestly, I personally believe she could have knocked all of them out to begin with, but chose to leave some of them conscious, just so she could use her fists more. And that's when everyone remembers her true nickname, the Mad Dog Princess. Pretty fitting, to be fair. Kyle even tries to intervene, and he gets dropped instantly. Or more accurately, he gets sent flying across the room, and I'm not gonna lie, this is when I was hooked, because this man sucked. And honestly, it's really nice to not get some main character who always holds back for no particular reason. It's like,
no, I need to be the better person here. I need to be better than her.
No, that. Fuck that, punch him into a wall, bro. Then Julius, you know, the guy's brother, as I mentioned earlier, walks into the room and asks why this has even happened, and you think she's gonna give some really good excuse as to why she did this. You know what she says? They all made me sick, so I beat them up. Absolute queen. But here's the thing, Scarlett isn't just strong, she's completely broken. You remember when I mentioned her magic power, right? Well, the reason why she has this power is because she's blessed by the god of time, Kronos. This made her even more broken, and this whole scenario with all the blood everywhere leads to a pretty fitting nickname of the Bloodstained Princess. Despite this name though, Scarlett isn't some evil monster. She's actually really understanding with people who actually deserve it. For example, when she finds out one of Kyle's servants was forced to help him, she lets the guy go and understands. Same thing with her maid, who literally tries to kill her in her sleep. She just lets him off easily. That being said, she's still terrifying. I mean, her blessing lets her reverse time on someone's body, speed herself up to insane levels, which we'll go into later, and even enhance her own strength, which doesn't really seem fitting with the God of Time, but who cares at this point? She's basically like Reinhardt if he'd had no chill at all. But she does warn her maid that if Ware gets out about her blessing, she'll punish them. I'm not gonna lie, that would not work on me, because all I could think of in this moment was...
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Anyway, it does turn out that maid was hired by the Prime Minister to assassinate Scarlet, but instead of being scared, she trembles with excitement. She's that addicted to fighting. Now that she's stopped pretending to be nice, all of that built-up bloodlust is completely out of control. When she goes after the Prime Minister's men and runs into a bunch of slave traders, she's just thrilled. She starts reinforcing herself with magic and moving around like an absolute demon. The moment you see this, yeah, you're cooked, buddy. Wrap it up. Scarlet destroys all of them, as you'd expect, turning the group into a bloody mess. And even when one of them begs for mercy and gives her useful info, she still just crushes them without hesitation, and I was loving this. She could have held back, but she just didn't want to. She enjoys violence too much. Scarlet even jokes about wanting to fight more people, specifically fat nobles, because they're the most satisfying to hit. This is just unreal. But don't get it twisted, Scarlet isn't stupid. She knows when to hold her tongue. Like when she talks to a slave trader to get invited to a bigger underground auction in the royal capital. Of course, we all know that she's only keeping quiet so that she can beat up more people later, but still, she's not just some meathead for the most part. Then she meets Donovan, this enormous beast man who's built like a truck, and she literally doesn't care. She outmuscles him without any sort of magic, it seemed, and then punches him through a window. I'm sorry. How much time does this woman spend in the gym? I guarantee she benches more than I do. Like, how does this make any sense? Who knows, but I love it. She could do anything, I just accept that now. However, later, she gives this super inspiring speech to her brother about wanting to go after the Prime Minister to help people, protect the innocent. You know, she actually is a very good person deep down. Just kidding. You know this was a lie. She ruins this whole noble speech by saying that she just wants to beat up the fat, corrupt nobles because it's the most satisfying to her. I mean, come on, you can't help but love her. Eventually, she and Julius infiltrate the slave auction that the Prime Minister was in charge of, and Scarlet's just excited to fight, while Julius is clearly falling for her. Like, fair enough. Have you seen her? Inside, they start dismantling the place, first tearing through a bunch of small fries, then going after Godwin, one of the main villains, you know, the Prime Minister I mentioned earlier. But before that, Donovan the Beastman returns, stronger than ever it seems, but Scarlet merely calls him a meal, and literally uses another guy as a weapon, spinning him around like a helicopter to create a damn whirlwind while she's laughing the whole time. And then, just when you think things can't get any worse, a dragon appears. And of course, Scarlet wants to fight it, but before she can, some random dude tries to propose to her. So she decks him too. So you expect some epic fight, her first challenge. I mean, this is a dragon for God's sake. Which, nah. She just does a Saitama and knocks it out in one punch. But then the real challenge shows up. Prince Alflam, the Lord of Flames, a guy blessed by a god as well, giving him an invincible body. I mean, surely this guy is a challenge. I mean, he's been built up for multiple chapters at this point. Yeah. She beats him around the head until he gets a concussion and then throws him back to his own country. Typical. After that, Godwin gives her info about Terraneza. Apparently, she's some girl who's been isekai'd or something, and a bunch of other shit that Scarlet doesn't care about. And then she activates Overclock, an ability that allows her to slow down time to 1/100th of the normal speed, and she can move normally during this time, and no one else can. I don't think the series realised how broken they just made Scarlet. To put this into perspective, the average female boxer, which we can assume Scarlet is at least on the level on, I mean, she's definitely above there, but for the sake of this argument, they can punch it around 15 miles per hour. And if she can move at normal speed during this time, and it's 1/100th of a second, that means it's 15 miles per hour times by 100 is what people will see of her. Meaning that she punches at twice the speed of sound. So we have to assume that she's holding back all the time, right? I mean, this guy's head wouldn't exist anymore if she wasn't. She says she's doing it for all the people Godwin exploited, the slaves, the innocent lives. But then she actually cuts back to her normal self and just says that she really wanted to do it. But it is explained why Godwin survived, and that's because he had some necklace that basically made him invincible, but then Scarlet just takes it off of him and destroys it. Like, what did you expect to happen? You told her what your weakness was. But he did manage to shoot Julius, one of her friends at this point, which makes her furious. And despite her hair turning black, which, by the way, still hot, She still gets up from her exhausted state and beats him down even worse. And after all of that, she tames the dragon that was used against her. She's truly built different. And the craziest part is that everything I just said is the first arc. This is 15 chapters in. There are still 35 more chapters of this, of Scarlet just beating the hell out of people. So honestly, if you guys want to see more of that from me, you know, covering Scarlet in the future, then make sure to like and subscribe and watch this video on screen right now, because I'm sure if you enjoyed this video, you'd also enjoy this video on Tanya the Evil, because, you know, still my girl. Or man in a girl's body, I should say.